Hi sailors, and welcome to yet another podcast here on explorenorth.no. I'm your host, Jon Amtrup. I've just spent a lovely weekend on the west coast of Sweden doing some sail training with a couple that wants to sail to Svalbard in a couple of years, and it was one of the best weekends of the season. Beautiful autumn weather, warm, nice breeze, and a boat, a Najad 511 that behaved like a dream. So I'm looking forward to that project. And tomorrow I'm flying to Dublin and then taking a train to Kinsale, where I will meet up with Isbjørn and bring her to Vindön at Orust in Sweden. Hopefully we'll see some beautiful Scottish islands on the way. I'm not sure if we're going to do the Caledonian Canal or do around the top of Ireland before we head out into the North Sea and down to Sweden. But it will be a glorious 15 days of sailing. Now to my podcast. This time I'm talking to Tamara Klink, a Brazilian young woman who has crossed the Atlantic in a very small boat, and now she is on the west coast of Greenland looking for a place to overwinter alone. And I have deep respect for her drive and commitment and willingness to do this project. And I'm a bit envious, actually. And she has a great perspective on life, as her father, who did solo around Antarctica, overwintered in Antarctica. She is deeply committed to sailing the high latitudes. And I'm a little bit proud that she mentions my book, Sail to Svalbard and high latitude sailing a couple of times, and she had found a lot of good tips and knowledge in the books, and maybe some inspiration. But now to the podcast. Listen to Tamara as she explains why she loves sailing in the high latitudes and solo. Enjoy. Hi, it's time for a new podcast, and this time we have Tamara on the other end of not exactly the end of the world, but on the end of the line at least. Hi, Tamara.
Hi, Jan. Hi, everyone.
Hi. How are you?
I'm doing good, quite tired, but I think it's normal when we're sailing single-handed to be tired all the time.
Yeah, I think it's also normal to be tired when just sailing all the time with crew, I think. But tell me where you are right now.
I'm in Aasiat in West Greenland. I came to the hotel of the city to use the internet because I don't have internet on board, and I'm looking at my boat through the window.
Right. And because I talked to you when you were trying to get the permission to overwinter on Svalbard, but that didn't go so well, did it?
No, well, it's been 1 year since I have been preparing for this overwintering, and it's a very long preparation that involves preparing the boat and also having the authorizations. When we're going to a different country, we have to ask for permission before we're going there, and the authorities in Svalbard they considered that the project was risky because it's in the winter time, because I would be alone in the boat, and they preferred to refuse it and not to take the risk of having someone that could have potentially an accident. But I have been preparing for a long time for that, and I built my projects based in many phases. So I try to validate or not the project in each phase, and to the moment everything has been going okay. So I feel ready to keep going with the phases, and I decided to move from Svalbard to Greenland because I could find conditions that were more or less close to the ones I was expecting to have. There are less polar bears here. There are more settlements and people with this long tradition in spending the winter in this place. And I had the possibility to stop in many places and see how the boat was doing, how I was doing before entering the winter season. So for me, it seemed
Yep.
to be a good and wise solution after this refusal. And to the moment, things are going okay.
Uh, but why did you pick Svalbard as your first choice for overwintering?
For many reasons. One of them is I really enjoyed the moment I lived in Norway, and I have been reading books on the north of Norway and Svalbard. I have read your book, and I was absolutely amazed by your book, Sailing in Svalbard,
Yeah.
and also because I one of like in the moment one of my big worries about overwintering was finding a place in which the ice would be stable. And as I exchanged with some people that had already overwintered there, they gave me some indications of places where it could be interesting and where they consider it would be safe. And also because when I started the process of planning the project, I was not European, and it's quite complicated for a non-European to be in a European country. So in terms of authorization, it was more simple to me and straightforward to do the Svalbard application than to get a special visa to be anywhere else. So yeah, I'm Brazilian. I think we didn't explain that in the beginning. And But finally, it was not as I expected. But it's okay. Like I
No.
understand it. When we're entering someone else's country, we have to ask for permission. So it's okay for me.
Yeah. But, yeah. But when you first got the refusal, were you disappointed?
Yeah, at first sight, I was quite disappointed because I was not expecting that. I have never heard about any refusal before. I've met and exchanged with many people that have had applied to go to Svalbard and that had overwintered there, but I have never heard about being refused. Um, and at the same time, like as sailors, when the wind is against us, we have to adapt the route. So I just attacked and kept going somewhere else. And I'm really happy with
Yeah.
getting out to Greenland uh, and meeting people here and learning more about their culture. And I think it's a very special place.
Yeah. What are your goal for this? I'm not sure if you call it a project or is it is this a dream you have had for many years?
Yes, I had the opportunity to go to the Antarctic as a kid a couple of times, and as an adolescent too. And I had this personal, I think, dream to be able to come back to the Antarctic single handed. But the Antarctic is quite remote, even more remote than here. And I thought that it would be better to have some little steps and safer steps before. So the Arctic seemed to be a little bit safer than starting in the Antarctic. My first trip was also quite close to you, I think. I started my first trip single handed in Ålesund in Norway 3 years ago
Ah,
with a tiny boat.
it's
I didn't have money to have a big boat. I was a student, and with the help of a YouTube follower that became one of my best friends, Enrique, I bought a tiny 26 feet a maxi magic,
very nice.
and Yes, and I went with this Maxi Magic to Rio de Janeiro, to Paraty, Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, single-handed. This was my first trip, and I really loved starting in the middle of the fjords and going until Brazil, the Brazilian beaches with coconut trees, and it was really nice. So this first trip, single-handed, gave me a lot of skills, I think, a lot of knowledge to keep sailing single-handed. And um, and then, like, the overwintering project, well, my father overwintered some years before I was born, so this was something that was really on my uh, childhood landscape, in my dreams, in the projects that seemed like magical when I was a kid. So I was really looking
Yep.
forward to doing that one day. And yes, it is a project. It has, as I was explaining, like many different phases, and I'm not. I think I'm not expecting, or I'm not planning to do everything I can in order for it to happen now. I'm doing the best I can to be able to learn as much as I can, in the safer way possible, to get more skills. I'm still 26-year old, and I think that if I'm planning to sail in high latitudes for a long time, my main objective in this moment is to learn, and get better and get more experience. I really this is my main goal. My main goal is not to overwinter, is to give myself the means to learn as much as I can, and to be a better sailor as much as I can.
Because yeah, you have mentioned it a few times because your childhood wasn't, at least how I perceived it, because I heard your father in a lecture in Oslo a few years ago, and I was really really impressed, because and one of the things I particularly remember, he said, like, yeah, and for the summer we went to Antarctica, and I brought a couple of kids from my friends and my kids, and we went down there, and I thought, okay, summer vacation in Antarctica. That must have been a special summer vacation for kids. How was it?
It was quite traumatizing. I think it
Sorry.
once we have the opportunity to see the Antarctic and the Antarctic trip with our family, not as an expedition, because it was never an expedition for us. It was never an adventure. It was more like
Yep.
a promenade that we were doing together. So I was with my parents, my sisters, my friends, and we would be like spending the day playing in the snow, um, making houses in the middle of the glacier, and cooking, and doing optimist in the middle of the icebergs, and rowing a canoe to go to see the whales and the seals. So for us, it was quite normal to be doing that. It didn't seem to be exceptional or wonderful. It seemed to be just like a normal playground. We would play like we would be playing anywhere else. And I think that this is how kids here in Greenland see the nature here. For them, it's normal to have icebergs in front of their kitchen windows. It's normal to have seals coming. They don't even think that seals are exotic. They eat seals, so for them, seals is just like seeing cows. And I think this is how they interact with this environment. So for me, it was something that was like really nice, but I didn't feel it was so special until I asked my father to help me to go to the Antarctic single-handed. So the day I was 13 years old, I asked him to help me, in this single-handed Antarctic project, and he said no. He said he would never help me to do that, and his help would be to give me zero advice, 0 cents, 0 euros, zero everything, zero objects. He would never lend me his boat. He would never give me contacts, because it took him 30 years to build his own boat, and build a boat that was ready to go to the Antarctic. And this was part of the preparation. This was part of the experience we had to acquire to be able to sail single-handed. And I was, of course, upset at that moment, because he was my biggest reference, and I thought that he had the means to help me do it much faster. But since I couldn't,
Yeah.
then I started my trip. Then it took me 10 years to be able to buy my own boats. I studied. I started to study architecture. Then I went to a naval architecture school in France. Then I built my YouTube channel, in which I shared parts of my sailing experience with other people that didn't have the opportunity to sail. And then I bought my first boat, from a super nice Finnish guy that said that he could sell me the boats for the price I could pay, to help me with this project. Uh, and Juha in Oddesund. And I think it was really special and really important for me in the end. So when I come here, I really feel like I'm not sailing single-handed. I'm sailing with the kid I was, when I had the opportunity to go to the Antarctic when I was a kid. And I think many sailors uh, can can maybe ask themselves this question: what's the is it a problem to spend a long time away from my family? How will my kids feel my absence when I'm gone? And what was really important for me as a kid, having a father that was quite absent in the beginning, because he used to sail for many months, many times, was to be able to hear his stories when he came back. And I'm pretty sure that having the opportunity to hear stories from our parents, from my parents, was something that changed my I think that had a huge impact in my life, because I had many friends that had parents that also worked a lot, but didn't tell them stories. And I know that yeah, if we come here to these places, to say in high latitude, it's only because we have a very powerful dream. Otherwise, there is no reason to be sailing here, because it's super cold, it's super hard, it's quite risky, it's very uncomfortable, and it's super expensive too. And there's no point in doing that if we don't have this huge dream, this huge will that makes us
No.
spend years
Yeah.
preparing to be able to come here.
So your father wanted you obviously to learn the hard way, but and do you feel that his approach was the right now that you're on your way? Or yeah, you've probably done more than most sailors by your age now. So, but
I don't know if it was the right approach. It was the approach he had, and I tried doing my best after this approach. But I'm really glad I had the opportunity um, to to find other people that could help me in different ways.
yeah,
I think that having a father that has sailed a lot, and in Brazil he is very well known, this could be quite intimidating for a kid. And I think that having the opportunity to start with tiny boats, my maxi and to sail a long way with this boat that many people would call the precarious, including my father. um, gave me a lot of freedom to make my own choices. It learned me a lot about doing the best I could with very few resources, and I'm really glad I had it as my first experience.
Mm.
Afterwards, when I had already crossed the Atlantic, and when I was already in Brazil looking for a new boat, I discussed with my father about which could be the next boat. And for me, I was pretty sure I wanted to have my own. And I didn't have a lot of money, so I knew I wouldn't have a lot of choices of boats. I went to Norway to see some, but over there I only saw boats that were made for a crew sailing, and they were quite big. And I was really I'm a big fan of tiny boats, also because I'm a small person, and because I part from I believe that when the boat is smaller, we have less efforts everywhere. We have more ways of solving problems when they come, and I wanted a boat that had not more than 11 meters. So I found a boat that was made on steel. It was an amateur construction made by two a Belgium couple, in their garden in Belgium, and they were really fan of this boat. It was the boat of their lives, and I liked the story of the boat. I liked how she looked like. She looked a little bit like my maxi, and I bought her. It was I used almost all the money I had to buy her, and I spent 1 year preparing her. She was not prepared for high latitude sailing, so I had to do a lot of changes in the boat. And but I didn't make any structural changes, only like equipment changes, and uh, and it was a school for me. So I'm quite glad of what I was able to do. And of course, in the process, I think many people there that are listening to us have already lived that. When you start a boat preparation, sometimes you like for a long time you're taking off things more than you're putting them. So you have more or
Yeah.
less the experience that you're destroying your boat for many months. So I took off the mast, I took off the engine, I took off all the electronic equipment, I took off the windows, and for many months I only had a hull and many bills to pay that I didn't know how I was going to pay them. So I felt that if I stopped in the middle, even though abandoning was very tempting, if I stopped in the middle, I would have lost everything. So the only way I had of not losing everything was just to keep going. And it was a crazy process. I think all the sailors have already lived that before, and I would have never lived this if I had help, if I had had a boat, if someone had
Yeah.
lent me a boat that was already ready, or if I didn't have to leave the process of trying to find the money and not having the money I needed to do what I was counting on doing. And this is all part of the project, and this is also what makes this trip so overwhelming, is
Yeah.
living all of that.
Yeah. It seems like you're unstoppable. You have a dream and you're going to fulfill it. Is that something you got from your father's stories? Because he struck me as also a man who dreamt big, and yeah, he wanted to see it through no matter what.
I think that's something like the more I grow up, the more I admire my father,
Yeah.
because he came from Brazil, and he came from a family in which no one sailed. And when I see everything that he did in this context, when he didn't have himself as a father, it makes me quite it makes me feel very, very privileged of having been able to have someone as a reference, as someone as a role model. And I don't follow everything that he does, but uh, I uh, I really admire the choices he made and the things he was able to accomplish. He also started in a tiny boat, even though he says that my maxi was precarious to cross the Atlantic. He started with a rowing boat in which
Yeah.
he rowed from Namibia in the south of Africa to Brazil, single-handed. And at that time, all the people that attempted doing the South Atlantic crossing by rowing had died. So he was the first one that was able to do it and prove that it was possible. And because also he had the access to books of Gérard de Beauville, the French guy that had done it in the North Atlantic. So his all his reference came from books and from people that he didn't know personally and that was not close to him personally. Afterwards, he built a boat to be able to go to the Antarctic. He overwintered there, and I'm not sure he knew personally anyone that had done it before. At that time, there was no internet, so he could not call people like we were able to do. Your book, Sailing in High Latitudes, didn't exist, and he was able to do all that. He was able to do a circumnavigation around Antarctica in a moment when he was people didn't do that. And so I'm really I admire a lot my father, and I feel also very privileged of having been able to have him as a close example, and to live in a moment when we can reach people all over the world that have done interesting and incredible things. So I feel privileged of having been able to have access to your books, and to having been able to call you when I had problems, and to call for advice for different sailors. And this is something very, very important, that without this I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. So I don't think I'm unstoppable. I think that many things try to stop me all the time, but when everything seems to be too complicated, I try to make simple and say, okay, this is my next waypoint, and what is the essence of what I'm trying to do, what is fundamental. So if I cannot have the boat to cross the Atlantic, what is the boat I can have? Okay, and then once I had the maxi and I couldn't afford any other boat, then this maxi magic, I said, okay, I don't know if I'll reach Brazil, but I know I will go as far as I can with the boat I have, and this is the best boat in the world. Is the boat I already have and the boat I already know.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's actually a very good advice for anybody, because it seems like everyone is looking for a new boat to fit their dreams, or a bigger one, or yeah, whatever. But as you said, the best boat you got is the one you have, that you know. So yeah.
Yes.
Uh, you you're talking about next steps. Have you found the place you want to
So
overwinter in?
I have some ideas of different places.
Mm-hmm.
And these ideas, like, I think I don't invent anything. At least I try not to make up anything, not to invent anything from my mind. I always ask the locals. I always ask the fishermen. I also ask the other sailors. So I have four possibilities of overwintering spots. And in the
Mm-hmm.
next 2 weeks before the summertime ends and before the sea starts to freeze, I will be visiting these different spots to finally choose one.
Yep.
And if everything works well, and this is what I'm planning, but I always take in consideration that that I have to be I can be asked by nature to change my plans.
Yep.
uh, if everything works as more or less as I plan, then I will be stuck in the ice for some months, and I'm really looking forward to see how this place is like when the light disappears, when the sea is frozen, and I'm looking forward to knowing myself better too. Once I will be alone.
What what kind of what are you looking for when have, when you chose these four spots, except for the local advice you got?
Well, I'm looking for a place where where the sea freezes in a stable way. So, in a protected bay where the sea won't break up, when the sea plate won't break up and refreeze again and break up and refreeze again. I think this would be the most dangerous thing. Also, I was looking for a place that could be sheltered from strong winds. Uh, in a place where the chances of having polar bears is smaller. Because I know they can come, but it would be better to avoid them.
Yeah.
And in a place where I could have access to liquid water for some time, like
Okay.
close to a lake or a river,
Yeah.
and where
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
anchor
Yeah.
can, like, when the a place where also I can anchor, so when the anchor is can
Yeah.
hold well.
Yeah. For for how long are you expecting to be frozen in? Yeah.
Well, I'm planning on being in the same site from November to June. This is what I prepared myself for. I have some
Yep.
margin, but this is what I'm visualizing in my mind. And if it's
Mhm.
shorter, or if it's shorter, okay, it's okay, it's nice. And if it's longer, it's not a problem too. Since it unfreezes until the summertime, it will be better.
Yeah.
Because I'm planning on doing only one overwinter and not two
Okay. Sounds sounds good.
for the moment.
For the you're adaptable. What shit, forgot what else. Uh, are you going to be close to in proximity to to a community, or are you preparing to be totally isolated?
One of the possibilities is being close to a village, a settlement,
Hmm.
and this could be nice, but being close to a settlement is not a need, and it's not a technical priority. So I
No.
prepared my boat to have enough autonomy to be isolated, and
Yep.
being close to people would be just I think one extra element in the landscape. With the
Yep.
people I like, these people, they have been living here for many years, and there is a very huge culture, Arctic culture, polar culture. So it would be nice to learn from them. This is not something that guides my choice of places, since they usually stay in houses and not in boats.
Yeah. Uh, so you're going to be alone for maybe 6 to 8 months. I'm not. I know it's very hard to train for that kind of solitude, but what do you expect to not to experience, but how do you expect you will handle it?
I just tell myself that I will spend my whole life surrounded by people, so only 8 months is not much. And I think this is this is what I tell myself. I
Yeah.
don't know if how I will deal with it, but I based on my previous experience that were that were much shorter. I expect to stop to speak in a moment. I count on my journal to exercise my communication,
Yeah.
and I also am quite disciplined, so I tried building like a routine, and this is something that I believe will structure my plan. So maybe we could talk again once I have already
Oh yeah.
done it, know how it was really like. But I
Yeah.
believe that having this routine will be something that will help me a lot when I will be out of sunlight and when it will be very cold, because something that can happen to us when we are alone for a long time is getting this lethargy in which we we just get in this inertia where we're always like trying to postpone everything. I think everyone that has already sailed single-handed has maybe experienced that in a moment, when in a moment you're just
Yeah.
like you stop looking at your sensors, you stop looking at taking care of the boat. And I think this is something I have to be very aware of, to always like try to keep this routine. And I remember that I will leave as long as my boat is well. So my well-being depends on the well-being of the boat. And voila, I think I have to do the trip to know how it really turns out. And
Yeah.
I'm expecting to be exposed to situations I have never lived, in terms of I think um, weather, in terms of
Yeah.
temperature, in terms of uh, needs, like basic needs like drinking water. I will have to the melt the water to be able to drink it.
Yep.
Mm, I have probably never spent, yeah, as a Brazilian person, I have never spent so much time far from fresh food. So there are many
Yeah.
things that I'm living for the first time.
Yeah. Have you read the book? I think it was Alva Simon who wrote North to the Night.
I'm reading this book.
Ah, you're reading the book. Good,
Yes,
good,
it's a
good.
sailor that
Yes.
had just given me as a gift, Matt Rutherford,
Yeah.
a guy that also did a long trip with a tiny boat, and it's a very nice book. Yes.
Yes. Got a lot of useful tips and knowledge for you, I guess.
Yes, I
Um,
have two buckets
yeah.
because the first
And
chapter he
you
loses his
will,
bucket.
yeah, and you will have plenty of time to do your art, I guess.
My father said that in his overwintering he didn't have time to do anything. So so maybe I'll have time to do art, but maybe not. He said he had many books and he didn't have time to read them because he spent so much time looking for snow and trying to melt the snow. And once the snow was melted, he had to drink it, otherwise it would freeze again. And then he would have to look for more snow to drink. So he said that in the end, he spent so much time taking care of the boat and melting snow that he didn't have time to do anything else. Let's see.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, but and we're definitely gonna take the time to make another podcast when you get out of the ice, sometimes in June, hopefully. Um, we're getting to the end there. Is there anything you would like to say that I haven't asked you?
I want to thank you, Jan, for your books because they were really, really nice and really, really helpful. I had lived one situation in which I remember one of the passages. I think that this trip, like getting to, I was very focused on the overwintering part, but I think that sailing here in Greenland was much harder than I was expecting,
Yeah.
single-handed. One of the things that made it quite hard was anchoring. I had never anchored in so many different contexts, and there was one situation in which I was anchoring close to a glacier in a fjord, and I realized that the charts said that there was 20 meters under my hull, and 20 meters depth, and then my sonar said there was only 2 or 3 meters depth, and then I thought that it would be okay to anchor in this place. And then I realized that I could not count on the charts, I could not count on the sonar, I could not really count on all the instruments that I was used to, because in fact there was more than 100 meters under my boat, and the charts were fake, the sonar was fake, and this was something that made me very scared.
Yeah.
And so there are many situations like that that make us, I think, uh, make us learn about the place before we go there, that make us more aware about the environment, and then we have to navigate in a way that is much more intelligent than just following charts and looking at numbers. And
Yep.
I recommend that before before staying here, people read your books, because it was something that helped me a lot.
Thank you. Very kind of you. And yeah, thank you for taking the time to talk with me. And I'm really looking forward to talking to you again next year. And good luck with the overwintering.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for everyone.
Thank you. Hang on. Hi guys, thanks for listening to this podcast. I hope you found it interesting. If you want to know more about high latitude sailing, I can highly recommend, without blushing, the book I wrote together with Bob Shepton, High Latitude Sailing, Self-Sufficient Sailing Techniques for Cold Waters and Winter Seasons. You'll find it on Amazon, on explorenorth.no. You can follow the link to buy a hard copy. And there's also a lot of other books there that you might find interesting. Other than that, keep on sailing, guys.